Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to have you here today. Look, if you're staring down Class 12 business studies right now and just feeling totally overwhelmed by the sheer volume of theories, definitions, and endless case studies, you are in the exact right place. This explainer, it's going to be your ultimate playbook. We're taking those incredibly dry textbook concepts of management and actually bringing them to life. So, grab a notepad, settle in, and let's make these concepts crystal clear. So, have you ever wondered what really separates a chaotic, completely failing factory from a thriving global empire? It's super easy to assume it's just luck, or maybe they just have a better product. But honestly, the truth is it's the invisible engine operating behind the scenes, and that engine is management. Without it, even the absolute best resources just go to waste, and your whole operation basically turns into a very, very expensive circus. Okay, here's our game plan for today. We'll start with the anatomy of good management, then look at the 3 core objectives, climb the management hierarchy, break down the 5 key management functions, and reveal the secret sauce, coordination. And finally, we're going to wrap the whole thing up with the ultimate exam playbook for cracking those tricky case studies. Let's jump into Section 1, Anatomy of Good Management, also known as the balancing act. No, management isn't just about, bossing people around. It is a very specific, really delicate balancing act. The core textbook definition is that it's the process of getting things done with the aim of achieving organizational goals effectively and efficiently. This dynamic, multidimensional groundwork we're talking about was largely laid out by Henry Fayol. He's widely known as the father of modern management theory, but I want you to pay close attention to the end of that sentence, effectively and efficiently. Those aren't just synonyms people throw around. They are literally 2 sides of a very important coin. Here is the exact difference, and trust me, you are going to see this tested over and over. Effectiveness is all about doing the right task, completing activities, and actually hitting your targets, getting the job done. Efficiency, on the other hand, is about doing the task correctly with minimum cost and resource utilization. You have to achieve the goal without totally blowing the budget. Balancing both of these, that's what makes a manager great. To put that into perspective, let's look at a real-world example from our sources. Volvo Ltd. had a target, produce 10,000 shirts at a cost of 100 rupees per shirt. Well, the production manager hit that 10,000 mark, so boom, they were effective. But they didn't stop there. They actually managed to produce them at just 90 rupees a shirt. Because they reduced the cost and used resources economically, they were also efficient. This right here, this is the absolute gold standard of management. So what kind of beast is management anyway? Well, it's kind of a hybrid. First off, it's an art. It requires personalized application and real creativity. Think of the famous singer Sonu Nigam, right? He knows the exact theory of music, but it's his personal creativity that makes him a true artist. Managers do the exact same thing with business principles. Second, it's a science because it relies on a systematized body of knowledge and logical observation. And finally, it has elements of a profession. It requires a well-defined body of knowledge, even if it doesn't have the strict formal licensing of, say, a doctor or a lawyer. All right, moving right along to Section 2, the 3 core objectives, taking us way beyond just profit. Okay, we know what management is, but why does it actually matter? Here are the 3 distinct slices of the management objective pie. First up, we've got organizational objectives. This is your survival, your profit, and your growth. Without these, the business just dies. But look at the other 2 slices. We have social objectives, which focus heavily on community welfare and adopting environmentally friendly practices. And finally, personal objectives. These are all about employee welfare, competitive salaries, and giving people good working conditions. Good management literally has to feed all 3 of these parts to work. Check out this real-world case study. Bhavya Ltd. Actively offers employment to physically challenged persons to meet the firm's objectives. Now, when you see a scenario exactly like this pop up in your exams, you should instantly know they're prioritizing their social objective. They're focusing on inclusion and community welfare over pure, ruthless profit maximization. On to Section 3, the management hierarchy. Basically, who does what? So who's actually out there executing all these goals? Let's walk up the organizational ladder. Or actually, let's start at the top and walk down. At the top level, managers are totally responsible for survival, formulating overall strategies and big picture welfare. Think of your CEOs or characters you see in your case studies like Ashto Goyanka. Then we step down to the middle level. Their core job, implementation.
They take those massive top-level strategies and turn them into actionable departmental plans. This is where you find managers like Dheeraj, the operations manager. And finally, the lower or supervisory level. They handle the direct workforce supervision, safety, and quality output. This is your foreman, or as mentioned in the text, Sridhar's father, the section in charge.
Section 4, 5 key management functions, the sequential process.
So we know the who, right? Now let's talk about the how. And pay attention here because this is a very specific chronological journey. It all starts with planning, literally thinking before doing and formulating your strategies. Then comes organizing, structuring all the work and allocating your resources. Next is staffing, finding the exact right people for the right job. After that, directing, motivating, and leading your employees. And it all wraps up nicely with controlling, where you compare your actual results with your standards and take corrective action if you fell short. Let's see this sequence actually play out through Nishta, a marketing manager. First, she plans out a target of 2,000 laptops. Simple enough. Second, she organizes by allocating all the necessary resources to get it done. Third, she handles the directing function by guiding and motivating her 6 salesmen. And finally, she exercises controlling by comparing her actual sales at the end of the month with her initial targets. This is just a brilliant example of how these 5 functions play out sequentially in the real world to exceed targets. Which brings us to Section 5, coordination, the secret sauce. Picture this. You have a brilliantly thought-out plan and top-tier staff, but your sales department and production department absolutely hate each other and won't communicate. It's basically the corporate equivalent of a highly disorganized group project where everyone just does their own thing and the final presentation is a complete disaster. Total chaos, right? Enter the ultimate solution, coordination. The sources explicitly call it the essence of management. Why? Because it integrates group efforts, ensures unity of action, and acts as the magical force that binds all those 5 functions we just talked about together. Without this secret sauce, overlapping, duplication, and delays will literally destroy a company from the inside out. Here's a great example of that. Let's look at Kartik, a plant supervisor in a garment factory. He noticed his workers were wasting tons of time just standing around waiting for materials. So, what did Kartik do? He proactively started coordinating with the storekeeper a full 3 days in advance for thread and lace supplies. Just by applying coordination, Kartik integrated the production and store departments, totally eliminated those delays, and dramatically improved his team's output. Super simple, but incredibly powerful. Finally, Section 6, cracking the case studies, the exam playbook. All right, this is the grand payoff, folks. Let's take all the theory we've mapped out today and use it to absolutely conquer your exams. Our expert sources give us 3 golden rules for this playbook. Rule number 1, keep your concepts crystal clear, which, hey, is exactly what we've been doing today. Rule number 2, don't panic because the answers are hidden directly in the case study text itself. You literally just have to hunt for the keywords. And rule number 3, keep your answers short and sweet. Do not exaggerate. If it's a 3-mark question, please don't write a whole essay. Let me show you how insanely easy this is to execute with the Ashto Goyanka case. The text explicitly says he noticed declining profits, so he analyzed the business environment and formulated strategies. Now, if you have your concepts clear, those key words, analyzing environment and formulating strategy, should be setting off massive alarm bells in your head. They instantly point to top-level management. You spot the keywords, you confidently write down top-level management, you get your marks, and you move right on. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one final thought. We've seen today that management isn't just dry textbook theory, right? It really is the invisible engine of success. So knowing the incredible power of proper planning, ruthless efficiency, and seamless coordination, how are you going to apply these principles to organize your own life, your own studies, or, maybe that future thriving empire you're going to build? Definitely something to think about. Thank you so much for joining me today on this explainer, and I will catch you in the next one.